WCBI News at 10 starts now.
As the drama in the NCAA men's basketball tournament continues to unfold, so does the drama with the MSU women's team. They proved tonight that they're elite. We'll have more on that coming up. I'm Tommy Lopez. Thanks for staying up late with us. And we start with some drama in Washington, some healthcare news today. A planned vote on a bill that would repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act was canceled today. Tonight, GOP leaders are trying to figure out their next move. CBS's Margaret Brennan has more on the negotiations and lack of support.
Thank you very much. We were very close. It was a very, very tight margin.
President Trump won the White House by touting his deal-making credentials. But on health care, he could not outmaneuver members of his own party.
We all learned a lot. We learned a lot about loyalty. We learned a lot about the vote-getting process.
The president faulted Democrats and predicted they'll pay the political price for Obamacare's increasing costs.
And I think the losers are Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, because now they own Obamacare. They own it.
Nobody knows the system better than me, which is why I alone can fix it.
Healthcare spending makes up around 18% of the U.S. economy. During the campaign, Mr. Trump said his business experience would translate into immediate reforms.
My first day in office, I'm going to ask Congress to put a bill on my desk getting rid of this disastrous law.
That was 2 weeks before the election. Today,
you've all heard my speeches. I never said repeal it and replace it within 64 days.
in an interview on Face the Nation last year, Mr. Trump explained his strategy.
It's supposed to be you get along with Congress and you cajole and you go back and forth and everybody gets in a room and we end up with deals.
But the president has since acknowledged that brokering this overhaul was tougher than expected.
It's an unbelievably complex subject. Nobody knew that health care could be so complicated.
The take it or leave it negotiating style that Mr. Trump wrote about in his book, The Art of the Deal, did not work in Washington. Margaret Brennan, CBS News, the White House.
News closer to home tonight. There's a good news and bad news situation today. The good news is the unemployment rates have improved in Mississippi. The bad news is the budget is taking a hit, but we'll start with the good news. The unemployment rate is now the lowest it's been in more than 15 years. The Mississippi Department of Employment Security released new information today. February's rate is 0.3% lower than the month before. That rate, 5.2%, is the lowest level of unemployment in nearly 16 years since May of 2001. The rate is nearly 1% better than this time a year ago. But to the bad news. There are two developments today that are impacting the state budget in Mississippi. They could have a significant effect on what the government can do in the next year and a half or so. Late this afternoon, the current state budget took a hit. Governor Phil Bryant made another emergency cut as revenue continues to fall short. This cut is $20 million. It's the smallest cut this fiscal year, but there have been 4 cuts in total, and those total $170 million. Bryant says the state will also take more from its so-called rainy day fund, up to nearly $40 million more. That's to make sure that the state can pay its bills through June at least. There's also bad news today for the future budget. Mississippi is making less money than many predicted. Legislative leaders announced revenue estimates today, and lawmakers are going to be working with a lot less money than they had planned on. It's a cut of $175 million, so there will be a $5.6 billion budget for next fiscal year. Many state agencies will likely pay the price. Tomorrow is actually the day that lawmakers are supposed to agree on the budget. Leaders in Jackson have had 2 main points for why revenue is lagging: tax cuts and the economy is not growing as fast as projected. Experts say education funding and road repairs are at risk of receiving less money than what legislators have been planning on. State Representative Steve Holland made a surprising announcement today on the House floor. He says he has dementia. He received a standing ovation today in the House after he read a prepared statement. He says he was diagnosed last week. The 61-year-old has been a lawmaker for more than 30 years. He says he'll continue to represent Lee County as a Democrat through his term, through 2019. His announcement that he retired came back in January. He's known for his colorful comments. He said today that he's a tough old bird, and he'll fight the condition as hard as he can.
I do love the fact that my wife, children, mother, siblings, and grandchildren, my family of loyal friends who count on me in their time of need. And yes, you, my 34-year extended family, will bear the brunt of my ultimate fate.
Many other lawmakers from our area say today they've enjoyed working with him, both personally and professionally. So our weather tonight, we're keeping our eye on those storms that are coming tomorrow. Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson joins us. Hey, Keith.
Hey, Tommy, right now, nothing on our live Doppler radar. Certainly good news locally here. We are watching some big-time storms here in Arkansas and Louisiana. They are moving our way. There are watches and warnings out to our west. However, this batch of storms will lose its punch as it advances east. This is our Futurecast forecast model, and as we go throughout the course of the night, that system is going to weaken sometime after it gets into our area. But there is a window of opportunity between about 4 and 11 a.m. for some gusty winds. That's round number one. Some stronger storms possible in the afternoon tomorrow, Tommy. More on that in just a few minutes. We're in the 70s. Your weekend forecast is coming up.
Keith, thank you. People inside a Tupelo house caught a man as he was trying to steal from them. The family dog woke everyone up, and one person held the man at gunpoint until shortly before police got there. They caught Khalil Hobson running out of that house. This was shortly before 2 this morning. He's facing a burglary charge now. He's in jail on a $75,000 bond. We have an update tonight on a weekend shooting. Columbus police are still looking for a man they say was involved in that Sunday morning shooting in downtown Columbus. Police want to know if anyone has information on Morris Deontay Lanier. He's now wanted. That's upgraded from a person of interest. This is for 3 counts of aggravated assault from that incident. The Crime Stoppers number is there on your screen. Police arrested Terrence Williams Tuesday in that shooting. No one was injured in the incident. Gunshots, though, did hit several cars that had people inside. Starkville police arrested Omar Moody of Columbus Thursday. They say this is in a sexual battery case from Wednesday. He's in jail on a $50,000 bond. There are recent viral videos of children being snatched away right next to their parents, and they're raising concerns about the need to be extra careful, particularly in public places. Our Selena Schaefer has more on keeping kids safe.
It can happen anywhere, at any time, and it's every parent's biggest nightmare.
Unattended child for even 1 minute or 30 seconds, you lose track of what happened to the child. So then you wonder if the child has stepped out and just went into a different aisle when you're shopping, or went around a clothes rack or something like that, and you waste valuable time.
Time that in the event of a real abduction is too valuable to lose.
It's a good rule to have a 2-step rule, to where if your child is in the shopping cart, they're harnessed, but even if they're harnessed in, you still don't get over 2 steps away from them. I understand that there's some viral videos out there of this happening. Statistics show it's actually pretty rare. The FBI statistics show that abductions, normally when it is a true abduction and not a runaway child, 75% of the time is from a family member.
Manatee Police Chief Jack Roberts says these videos should make parents more aware and more on guard. And in the event that this does happen,
they have every right to protect their child. Of course, scream for help, cause as big a scene as you can, but whatever means that you have to protect you and your family, it's at that time when you need to take that.
Roberts says parents are unaware that sharing their child's accomplishments online can be a threat.
By giving their children's names out, posting pictures of them, and in the event that there is someone that wants to do harm, by just going on Facebook, they have every bit of information that they need to lure a 3-year-old away from a mother just by calling the child by its name. As a parent, I try to always remember that they're few and far between, but it's hard to do when you think about your children. But the only thing we can really do is what parents have been doing since the dawn of time, and that's putting our children first.
Selena, thank you. And Robert says the most important weapon that parents can have are their instincts. Also to contact law enforcement immediately if they feel that they or their child's life is in danger.
Right now in Columbus, 68 degrees, wind sustained at 17 miles per hour. It's a windy and mild night. We are in the 60s here. Storms are approaching. More on that threat after the break.
Your first alert weather forecast with Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson.
Thanks for staying up late with us on a Friday night. Our Alpha Insurance time lapse from Columbus this evening shows the clouds moving on through. A little taste of sunshine today. Not a lot, but a lot of wind out there to warm things up with that southerly breeze, bringing in some warmer air. Temperatures right now, or how about our live Doppler radar? These aren't temperatures. This is live Doppler radar, no problems here. There is a nasty line of storms out here in Arkansas and even stronger down here in Louisiana. Watches and warnings, this activity is coming our way. It looks imposing at this point, and it is. Temperatures are in the 60s to low 70s around the region, but let me just show you why I think these storms will weaken a little bit as they get closer and closer to us. Dew point values around here, mid to upper 50s. That's not as conducive for sustaining these storms versus our neighbors just off to the south with dew points in the low 60s. So very close there, but that's just the margin of error here with the system coming our way. So those storms are very impressive in Arkansas and Louisiana right now. They will tend to weaken east of 55 later tonight. That whole batch will be moving on in here after 4 o'clock in the morning. We have that window of opportunity, as we mentioned earlier, 4 to 11 a.m. for some gusty storms. They'll weaken, and we will likely see some redevelopment tomorrow afternoon. Wind and hail a threat. Can't rule out a tornado threat either. That's on the low end of the spectrum, though, here for our Saturday. So we'll just see how it all plays out. It definitely bears watching as we go throughout the course of our Saturday. Here's Futurecast picking up on the initial line of storms we just showed you on radar. This should be moving through as we go throughout the course of the overnight hours into the morning hours. And then by noon or so, most of that should be done, a bit of a break. And then as we get into the heating of the day, you can see that flare up right there with some additional activity coming on in. Here's the big picture. System number 1 is Saturday, and then we'll have a nice break here for Sunday. So if you have any outdoor plans this weekend, try to postpone them and do them on Sunday. A nice little gap there between another system that will come our way on Monday that could give us some more strong to severe storms in the region. So here's our planner for tomorrow. We start out in the 60s, back into the 70s, a lot of mid-70s around the region with these scattered showers and storms that will be rumbling on through tomorrow. Here's our 7-day forecast. You can see 70s tomorrow, storms. Pretty nice Sunday, pushing 80. Upper 70s on Monday, a chance for more strong storms in the region. Quiet Tuesday and Wednesday, yet another system, Tommy, for Thursday. So